met the devil. Story time. So when Grandma was in her late teens, she had a child out of wedlock, and this man abandoned her. So at this point, her parents were pushing her to get married to someone new. That's how it was back then. She's sitting in the old Chevy with her friend at a burger place when this really tall, dark, very attractive man walks up behind the car, stops, turns around, and comes back to her window and leans in. My grandma was very modest, but she openly admitted this was the most attractive man she had ever seen in her entire life. He didn't even look real. She didn't even think people could look this way because he was so perfect, so handsome. He was about 6'5", 6'6" tall. He had jet black hair, bright green eyes, big lips, and pretty white teeth. He was dressed in all black. Black coat, black shirt, black pants, and black shoes. So he leans down in the window and they start talking. He says his name is Sammy, he's new to town, and he's just trying to make some new friends. So my grandma and her friend, being the sweet, kind people they were, they invite him to come sit down and have a burger with them. He was very quiet and shy, but he only talked to her. He didn't say 2 words to her friend, so she thought maybe he liked her. And they'd ride off and ride around town all night, just talking and hanging out. Here's where it starts to get weird. Grandma said when she went to drop him off, she asked him, "Where do you stay?" He said, "Well, I don't have a home, I just came to town." She said, "Well, where do you want me to take you?" And he had her drop him off at the graveyard. He was like, "I don't know that I really want to go out there, because that's just a scary place, even in the daylight." He was like, "Well, just take me to the end of the road." So she drops him off at the big gate. Now, she did not tell this man where she lived, but the next day around 12 o'clock, he comes walking up the driveway, and her mom's sitting there on the porch, shelling butter beans, and she's like, "Hey, there's some tall guy walking up the driveway." Grandma's like, "Oh, that's Sammy, the man I met last night." So by now, her friend and her mother have both seen this man. He's real. But most importantly, he was dressed in all black. So Sammy walks up where Grandma, her mom, and the little toddler are sitting on the porch shelling butter beans, and Sammy asks Grandma out on a date. So my grandma looks over at her mom, and her mom's like, "Yeah, go ahead, I'll watch the baby." Remember, he came up walking, but now they're driving in her car. So he tells Grandma along the way that he's made a little picnic out in the graveyard. And Grandma, being the kind of person that she was, didn't want to be disrespectful or ungrateful, so she agreed to go. They go out to the graveyard where she sees there is no picnic. He lied. There's no blanket, no food, no nothing. And now he's asking her all these personal questions, mainly about her faith and personal belief. He starts talking about religion. Do you go to church? What do you believe in? And then he starts debating with her a little bit about Christianity. Grandma always admitted she was never a perfect Christian. She sinned a lot. She made a lot of mistakes. But Grandma, being a faith warrior that she was, you could not dilute her faith. Like, she would fight you all day long about her God. She wouldn't push it on you, but if you debated her, she would defend it. Then Sammy asked Grandma, "Were you in love with the man you had that child by?" Grandma said, "Oh yeah, I thought we were going to get married. I fell head over heels for him." And Sammy said, "I know when you're lying." It really freaked her out, though, that he called her out on it like that. She could just see something in his eyes, like he knew she wasn't telling the truth, so she admitted, "No, I wasn't in love with him." The truth that everybody didn't know was Grandma and the baby daddy didn't even know each other. They had like a 1 or 2 night stand, got pregnant, and then because they didn't want to look bad, they told everybody they met, fell in love, were going to get married, and then the man abandoned her because he got cold feet. Sammy says, "But you weren't going to marry him either. He wasn't the only one with cold feet, was he?" Grandma was like, "Wait, we're the only 2 people who know what happened. How do you know that?" And Sammy loudly says, "I know everything." Then he tells her, "I want you to come be with me." He said, "You leave your child behind. It's just going to be you and me forever." And Grandma says, "Leave my child? I would never leave my child for anyone." And he says, "Yes, you would. You will for me." He said, "I know for a fact you would leave your child and your whole family to be with me." Grandma responds, "No, hell I wouldn't. I would never leave my child for anyone." But mentally, in her mind, she admits she would. Like, there's a weird little feeling in her mind that says she would leave her child because it feels like he's persuading her to think or feel that way. Trigger warning. Then he tells her he wants to know that she'll do anything for him, even if that means unaliving people, and he'll give her whatever her heart desires. And now she's terrified. Something was telling her, you're dealing with something very serious here, like a serial killer, a demon, something's going on, and it's not good. You better get the fuck out of here. So she jumps up to leave, and then he pulls her back down and says, "You can't leave until we're finished. You have to say yes or no." He says, "I know you need a partner and a father for your child." She said, "You said if we were together, I'd be abandoning my child." He said, "Well, that would be a stipulation of the deal." She said, "It sounds like you're trying to trick me." He said, "Well, some people do call me a trickster." He said, "All you have to do is agree to be with me. Just say the word yes, say it." She said, "No, I'm not making a deal, no." And then she starts thinking about the story her great-grandmother used to tell her about the man in black. So the man in black story dates back as far as we can remember, all throughout the southern states. And it's a very attractive man who dresses in all black and targets female victims of all ages, asking them to do his bidding or trying to make a deal. They call him a trickster for a reason because his deals never end well, never, and people believe that he's actually trying to take souls. So she used to wear this pendant that her mom gave her. It wasn't a cross, it was something else. So she grabs it and starts mentally praying, "Please don't let nothing happen to me or my child. Please protect us," because she's starting to freak out. She's scared. He backed up and said, "You're never going to agree to it, are you?" And she said, "No, you should know that if you know everything." But he stands up, looks down at her, and she said his pupils got so big his eyes looked black, like they were almost solid black. He said, "Too bad we couldn't make make a deal, but I will see you again in a few years. She said, no, you won't. He said, yes, I will. And then he disappeared as he walked behind the graves. She got so scared, her hands were shaking, her palms were sweating, almost about to throw up, so she got in the car and headed home. The whole way home, she kept thinking she was mentally breaking down, like, was he even real? Did this happen? And then when she gets home, her mom says, well, how did the date go with Sammy? And she's like, so he is real. You did see him. And her mom was like, yeah, where is he? What happened? And then she tells her mom, and her mom was like, holy shit. So her mom, being the religious fanatic that she was, takes grandma and the baby down to the river and has the preacher baptize them all over again because she thinks the devil's after them. Grandma said she don't know if he was a psycho, a serial killer, or a demon, but what she does know is he's real and he was there. And what's crazy, he was right. She saw him again 10 years later and he hadn't aged a bit. He came to her at her lowest point when her current husband was abusing her and her children. If you want to hear about that, I'll make a part.
This is the last time I'm going to tell you. Get out front of my door right now. The police on the way. Go.
In September of 2024, this TikTok user, whose account is now gone, likely due to people not believing her, began posting a series of disturbing videos. Now it all started with the following video after her and her daughter were followed to her apartment by a man arguing with something that wasn't there. But this is just the beginning to a terrifying story.
I just called the police. Get out front of my door. I know you heard me. Get out front of my door. This is the last time I'm going to tell you. Get out front of my door right now. The police on the way. Go.
Now, thankfully, the man quickly leaves. However, upon watching the video back, the door to a vacant apartment across the hall opens and shuts by itself, and she goes on to explain how this, combined with the strange man, is just too weird to ignore.
Y'all, so here's an update on what happened in the Ring camera footage when I was with my daughter the other day. And they stole my Ring camera, but that's another story for another day. Anyway, y'all, in the 3 years that I've lived here, I have never seen this door come open. Ever. Like, can't. Look at that. But in the video, you saw the door just came open. Who opened the door? Like, look at that. Like, pitch black. Like, make it make sense. Like, how? How?
After this video, she notifies the landlord, and they send up a maintenance worker to open the door.
You say the light works? Y'all, he said the light works. Oh, Lord. The fuck? What is that? It's over here. Y'all. What the hell is going on? Y'all see all these little kids? What the hell put kids' shoes up in there? What the? So how did? So hold on, because no, this other day the door came open when I was in here. So if the door came open, like no, I'm sorry, I'm not. Okay, y'all. So remember that thing? I thought it was a snake. I really thought it was some plastic, but y'all, I'm not finna get close to this shit. But this is real snake skin. Oh my God. Look at this shit.
Feeling creeped out, she quickly left, vowing to never go back. However, upon reviewing the footage, she noticed something that left her terrified.
And I noticed something in them pile of shoes. Those frozen Elsa boots, whatever you want to call it. Those boots are my daughter's. Like, I'm gonna show y'all a picture that me and my daughter took, like, I want to say like 2 months ago. Yo, this is crazy because I really thought she just lost them at school. Those shoes belong to my daughter.
At this point, she's determined to figure out who stole all those children's shoes, and her number one suspect is the man that chased her and her daughter to her door. But first, she decides to ask around, including the property manager, to get more information.
Okay, so tell me again, like how long has it been since somebody stayed in that room or been in that room?
Oh, shit. At least 6 years.
6 years.
At least.
6 years. So y'all ain't been up there and did no type of checks, like none of that. 6 years.
Why?
Somebody in this building must be going around here just collecting shoes. And I'm not gonna say collecting, stealing little kids' shoes around here. And the reason why I said that is because I've talked to at least 2 or 3 different people in this building who have said that their children been missing shoes. So I'm thinking that somebody has access to that room and they're going around stealing shoes and then taking them and putting them in there. But my question is, though, why though? Like, make it make sense.
Armed with this new information, she sets up a hidden camera and devises a plan.
This right here is gonna let me know who been in this building stealing these kids' shoes, and also who the hell has access to that room right there.
This is when strange things start occurring, when she begins to hear crying coming from the vacant room. But apart from seeing strangers on her floor, no one ever falls for her trap. But 2 days later, she would capture something terrifying. And what you'll see is the neighbor come out of her room after hearing the crying baby from the vacant room. But what happens after is truly disturbing. Now you can see the shoe entirely moves on its own. But before her account went completely dark, she did post one more video. The following is the final video. And let me know, what do you think?
Okay, y'all, so update. As you can see, property manager came and put a lock on the door. And whoever was in there, the fuck? Y'all,
What's the scariest encounter you've personally had? Well, I can tell you exactly when mine was. It took place in March of 2020, right after the lockdown started. It has to do with some cassette tapes, an upset husband, and an encounter that haunts me to this day. So John's family had a cabin up in Burnsville. And honey, during the fall, we were up at that cabin every single weekend. So when COVID hit, John wanted to run to the mountains and go to that cabin because he's a little bit of a prepper. And he didn't like how things was looking when the lockdown started. So once we got up to that cabin, honey, it was life back to normal. I was cooking meals, the kids were outside playing in the yard and collecting rocks, and John was relaxing. Well, I'm a music fanatic. I love music. And I found this box of cassette tapes that were beside the stereo in the living room. I found a Dean Martin cassette with the song Memories Are Made of This. So I started playing the cassette. Out of nowhere, here comes John charging in there. Where did you get that cassette? Why are you playing it? I'm not supposed to play those cassettes. See, John's family had bought this cabin from another family. I guess these tapes were left. I'm assuming they were left there previously. But John was losing his mind. Why are you playing those cassettes? It made me immediately cut it off and put it up. Well, I thought it was weird because John didn't normally have any kind of reactions like that. I just went on about my day thinking everything was normal. That night we were sitting on the couch. And that TV up there just got them bunny ears on it. You get a couple channels, that's all you get. We were watching American Idol. Luke Bryan was on the television. John's phone was in the kitchen. Out of nowhere, John's phone in another room starts playing a Luke Bryan song while Luke Bryan is on the television. And no, John didn't have on any kind of smart device that would have connected the phone to that. If that wasn't freaky enough, y'all, when I got up to go get the phone, the door on the porch flew open. It was locked, y'all, and slammed into the wall. He immediately looked at me and said, "I told you not to play those cassette tapes." I had never seen this kind of sternness out of John. He said, "This is bad. You should have never done that." And to this day, that story haunts me. Because 3 months later, my husband was gone. What's this Dean Martin song about? A reminiscent song about a couple who got married, had 3 kids, and lived a great life together. Some grief and some joy, happy times and sad times, but they stayed together till the end. For a couple years after he passed, I couldn't hear that song without falling apart. But now when I listen to it, I'm reminded of this story. What was wrong with those cassette tapes? Do you have any personal encounters? Feel free to message me or comment below.
This photo was the last moments caught inside of Jennifer's phone. Now, Jennifer was this girl that loved to camp all alone. She loved to do it so much because it made her feel like she was away from the world. It made her get away. It was peaceful. It was quiet. It wasn't that eerie, dark, creepy feeling that people get if you was to camp alone inside of the woods all night. No, she loved it. She had her own little cabin that she always go to. You pay for it, you rent it out, and you stay there for a couple days to a week, or even a night if you want. This following night, through the photo that you see with this man holding the axe, who seems to be staring up right at Jennifer through the cabin window. Well, later that night, in the middle of the night, she decided to call her boyfriend over and over and over again, but he didn't answer. You know, it was late at night, he had to wake up early for work, he just didn't answer his phone. Well, because he didn't answer his phone, she texts him and she says, "There's this man that's walking around with an axe in the woods. He's giving me a weird vibe. What should I do?" Now, after this text, she didn't send any more texts. So the boyfriend wakes up in the morning and he get all of the missed calls from his girlfriend Jennifer, and he also get this text. So he call her, but nothing. So he decides to get the police to investigate the whole entire place where she was camping at, in the woods. Well, the police searched the whole entire woods, at least a lot of the woods, didn't find her. They searched all over the cabin, didn't find her, didn't find any evidence except for the phone. Now, gladly, the boyfriend knew the password to the phone, and when the police was investigating the phone, they seen that one picture, the one and only evidence of that whole creepy situation that night. And still to this day, no one knows who this creepy ex-person is. And no one knows what even happened to Jennifer. She's still gone, vanished. So this whole thing remains unsolved.
The email that I got for tonight's True Scary Story, I'm not sure if it is about mimics, demons, or both. Or you guys are gonna have to figure that out, but say a prayer before you watch this video. By the way, I did tell a long, terrifying story tonight. You guys know where to find it. Put 2 and 2 together. We're gonna jump right into it. Tonight's submitter did not tell me whether I could use her real name or not, so I'm gonna call her Lacey. In 2018, Lacey moved in with her friends Em and L. While they were at university, Lacey was working. The house was a student home, so it wasn't very nice. Loose nails on the very creaky stairs, stains on the carpets that came with the place that they couldn't get out, mold in the bathroom, but they were 18 and 19 and excited to be living away from home, so they were happy with the house's imperfections. Em had the downstairs bedrooms, while Elle and Lacey had the 2 upstairs bedrooms. Lacey's bedroom was right next to the stairs, so she could hear every single time somebody walked on them. The first odd thing about the home is that her bedroom had 5 separate locks on it, and all the others did not. And she did start to use all the locks on her bedroom door at night because she started to feel safer with them. There was also a weird stain on the carpet underneath her bed that would not come out. Like a large dark puddle had sunk into the carpet, but she tried her best to make the bedroom her own. Hanging up pictures and hiding the stains, the night they moved in, a friend came over and they all stayed up late drinking. They were sitting in the living room downstairs and their friend was facing the stairs and everything was going fine until the friend sat upright, pointed, and said, "There's someone walking up the stairs." They said that they saw feet walking up the stairs, but when they went upstairs to check, nothing was there. After they checked on their friend, they just all chalked it up to them drinking, and so they went to bed. But that night around 3 a.m., Lacey woke up to the sound of whistling. Now, she was so exhausted from the move that she just put a pillow over her face and went back to bed. The next day, she goes downstairs and she talks to her friend, and her friend admits to hearing the whistling as well. Over the next few weeks, she kept waking up to the sound of whistling, whistling, and she would ask her friends about it and they would just say that it wasn't them. So she chalked it up to it being the neighbors and she just dropped it. The house felt odd though the longer that they stayed there, and they all felt watched all the time. And of course the whistling did not stop for Lacey, and then stuff started to go missing. Elle lost an eyeshadow palette, quite a big one, and it can't really be misplaced, that's how big it was. Em lost teaspoons, very random, and then Lacey lost a personal item. A personal item. Can't say what it was on TikTok, but it does vibrate. It was all things that they wouldn't take from each other, especially hers, and hers was in a locked box in a drawer in her bedroom. And Lacey would lock this drawer every time she would leave the house. Now, they all confronted each other about these missing items, but none of them did it, so they didn't really know where to go from there. Things also started to get a little bit weirder. Whenever Em would come into Lacey's room, pictures would fall off the wall. It was almost like the room didn't want him to be in there, and he also said that he got a tight feeling in his chest every time he would go into that room, but never other rooms. After living there for about 3 months, she actually spent her first night alone there. She did her normal nighttime routine, she locked all 5 locks, and then she went to bed and went to sleep. But she woke up again to the sound of whistling and the clock on her wall showing 3 a.m. She tried to ignore it like usual, but then the first lock on her door slowly slid open. The chain was swinging. And the next lock began to slowly slide open. Then the next one, until all of them were open and the door started slowly creaking open. The door opened and she could see the stairs and hear the whistling. It stopped for a moment once the door was open, but then she heard someone step onto the first step of the stairs. The whistling continued, and then the person continued to climb the stairs until all she could see was the shadow of the profile, the side profile of whoever was walking up the stairs. She saw the side profile on the wall until they continued walking up the stairs until they got into her room. As soon as they stepped in, she could see him clearly. It was an old man, dark underneath his eyes, pale, a black suit, a crooked smile with broken teeth, and he was just staring at her. She was frozen in fear, not sure if she was dreaming or not, and as she was about to say something, he screamed and jumped on top of her. This man would have looked something like this. He was holding her as he sat on her chest. His face was an inch from hers as he screamed at her. She could smell his breath and felt spit hitting her face as he growled and laughed at her. She began slashing around until eventually she got him off and sat up straight, looked around, and no one was there. She didn't sleep the rest of the night, leaving the light on and terrified in case he came back, but thank God he didn't that night. When her friends came back, she told them what happened, and after them all talking through it, they all decided to chalk it up to a nightmare. But he kept coming back to her room maybe once or twice a month, even when her roommates were home. Always the same setup, with him jumping on her chest and screaming at her, sometimes growling. Other things he'd just shout things like, "Mine!" or just laughing in her face until she'd push him off and he'd disappear. And she also said that when he would scream "mine," it sounded like a way scarier version of the seagulls from Finding Nemo. While this was going on, M got a mystery illness that made him go to the hospital and he had to get fluids for a week. He seemed to always be sick in that house. Colds, flus, glandular fever. One day, Lacey and M were in the kitchen just joking around when she turned around and went to go upstairs. M was following behind her and she felt him clearly breathe on the back of her neck and then whisper her name. She spun around laughing, yelling his name, thinking it was a joke. But when she turned around, nothing was there. And then M popped his head around the corner of the kitchen and was like, "Why are you shouting my name?" They weren't close enough to each other to have him do it and then just run away. Plus, she would have seen him in the amount of time that she turned around and the amount of distance that was between them. She told him what happened, so he looked at the back of her neck and his face went pale because she had 3 long scratch marks on the back of her neck. The lease for the home was only 9 months and they couldn't afford to end it early, so they had to stay there. All of them would often see things moving in the corner of their eyes or feel people watching them. The man would continue to visit Lacey's room, unlocking the door like he did before and sitting on her chest, leaving her with scratch marks on her arms, shoulders, and neck. They were scared, but they didn't know what to do, knowing that nobody would believe them, so they just lived with it. The day they moved out of the house, the man stopped visiting her, and her things stopped going missing, and so did her roommate's things. They no longer saw or felt things, and she stopped getting scratches all over her body. They never found the missing items, never did any research on the house because they were too scared to. She didn't want to find out who that man was because she was scared that if she did, he would come visit her in her new home. She said that he's going to haunt her memories forever. So what did you guys think about that story? I thought that story was so freaking creepy. The fact that the man kept jumping on her chest and she just had to live with that. Like, I would not be able to just live with that. But I guess when you can't afford to move out of a house like that, like, you're kind of stuck with it. I mean, what do you guys think that this was? Demonic? I don't know. I think maybe evil spirit. That's my thoughts on it. But I do think it's weird that he was able to mimic her friend's voice and then leave scratch marks all over her. So maybe demonic. I don't know. Because Maybe it was him mimicking it, or maybe there was another entity in the house that was mimicking her voice or her friend's voice. But she would love to know all your thoughts, comments, and opinions, so please drop them below. Before I go into my shoutouts, I do want to let you guys know that I am looking for Appalachian stories, brujeria stories. I'm so sorry for mispronouncing that. I tried really hard. And I'm also looking for NDE stories. So if you have any of those stories, please send them to me, and please make them as long as possible. Thank you so much. I love you guys. And with that being said, I'm now going to do my favorite part, which is the shoutouts. My first shoutout is going to Oh That's Jai. That's your username. You're so sweet. You said that you watch my videos every single day. I love that so much. Thank you so much for supporting me, and thank you for commenting and telling me that, and thank you for commenting in general and pushing my videos out. You have no idea what your support means to me, and I hope you know that I am so grateful for you. Never change. I love you. My next shout out is going to @emogonzo0918. You're so cute. You said that you listen to my videos while you're doing your motherly duties, and I love that so much. Thank you so much for watching my videos. Thank you for commenting and pushing my videos out. Thank you for being a part of my little community and supporting me. You have no idea how much it means to me to have your support. So I hope you know how much I appreciate you. Never change. I love you. And with that being said, my name is Kaisa, and I tell true scary stories on here every single night that you guys submit to me. So if you're into that, hit that follow button. And I just need you to do 3 things for me. And what are those? Keep sending me your scary stories. Have a safe night. And what's the third one? Say it with me. Have a spooky night. Love you guys so much. See you in the next one. Spooky kisses and haunted hugs.
One thing I don't see realtors talk about is what happens when they encounter a haunted house. And when I was a new realtor, there was this house that was haunted that I had to try to sell, and it was just a hot mess. Let me tell you. So like I said, I'm brand new to the industry, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and I started out in Albany, Georgia. This is where the story actually takes place. And before you actually get to Albany, Georgia, there's this long stretch of roads, and it's literally nothing. If you know, you know. So at this point, I was getting assignments from my broker directly because I was brand new. I didn't really have any clientele, nothing like that. So my broker tells me I need to start doing BPOs, and I do a BPO on this house that's literally on an outskirt, middle of nowhere in Albany, Georgia. So I'll never forget my first time I actually took a friend because, I mean, I was a young girl. I think I was about 20 years old when I first started, and I didn't really want to go to these houses by myself. So I had my friend with me. And so we driving down the street, and like I said, it was on this long stretch of road, and we turned right off of that road, and it's another long road, and we're going for a little bit, and all of a sudden the road turns into a dirt road, and I'm looking at the GPS, and the GPS is looking at me, and I'm looking at my friend is looking at me, and I'm like, oh my goodness, we in the middle of nowhere. Mind you, you look to the left and the right, you seeing trees and cornfields middle of nowhere. So we pull up to the house. Y'all, first of all, this was a beaten down shack in the middle of the woods, and right across from the house was this large open field. Mind you, this house was sitting on acres. I think it was about maybe 4 or 5 acres that this house was sitting on. And so if you know anything about BPOs, you got to take pictures. So I get the key, I'm unlocking the door, and I obviously don't want to go in by myself because I'm scared. Like, everything is overgrown, the grass is overgrown, the house is basically falling apart, and I was told that they were doing repairs on it. So we walk up in this house, right? And first of all, I'm getting creeped out. Like, the house is creepy. Some walls is painted. Like, you could tell somebody just kind of packed up and moved, but the house is kind of raggedy. It got that old house smell. The kitchen is completely gutted. Like, you walk into the living room, the child's room is on your left, and to the right, I want to say it was the master bedroom. So this is a really small house. Mind you, in the back of that house, there's mold. So, like, it's a lot of problems with this house. So I'm telling my friend, I'm like, hurry up. Let's just take the pictures and let's go. Like, I got to get up out of here. So I'm taking my pictures. They taking their pictures. All of a sudden, they go into the master bedroom. I'm in the kitchen. And all I hear is, Edie, come here. Edie, come here. Y'all, why I go into the room, into the closet, and written on the wall, I literally took a picture of this years ago, and I lost the freaking picture. I wish I had the picture. But it says something like, please stay away. This house is haunted. It will break up your family. I can't even lie. I'm like, what is going on? Mind you, I'm already getting a bad feeling. I'm kind of nervous, but I'm like, let's just take our pictures and go. So that's exactly what we do. Fast forward, like I said, I had to keep going back to the house. Now, I'm scared, but at one point, my friend couldn't go with me. So what do? I take my dog. I ain't got nobody else, so I take my dog. We get in the car, and I'm riding. Y'all, I can't even make this up. As soon as we turn down the dirt road, my dog takes his head, puts it back in the window, and starts to get low. I said, why you getting low? What you scared for? So boom, we pull up to the house. I get out the car, and I open his car door. He not trying to get out. Sir, you are the backup. Get out the car. I'm not gonna lie. I pried him out of that car. I did, because I was scared. So I go to the front door, and I unlock it. I look behind me. My dog is literally looking. I'm trying to explain this, but my dog was basically in front of the front door, not quite on the front porch, looking, crouched down low, looking at the house. I'm like, all right, his name was Ace. I was like, all right, AC Poo, come on. He was not budging. I said, come on, Ace, come on. At this point, I'm like, stop playing with me. Get in this house. Help me. Y'all, he wasn't going for it. He ran back to the car and was literally standing outside the car door looking at me like, ma'am. And that's how I know it's real, because dogs be knowing, animals be knowing. I'm like, all right, I ain't gonna subject him to this. So I put him back in the car and I'm like, let me just hurry up and take my pictures. So I'm going through the house taking pictures, and I just like, you know that feeling that like something bad is gonna happen, like I want to say impending doom. That's just how I was feeling, and I just felt like I was being watched, and I was honestly so scared. I'm not gonna lie to you. And the worst part is there was no service. So I was trying to call my friend, I was trying to call my mom, I was trying to call everybody in the world. Call was failing. Thankfully I made it out that time without a scratch. But let me tell y'all the craziest thing about this house. It never sold. Like, I noticed I would keep taking pictures and nothing was getting fixed. Like, the men that was supposed to be fixing the house wasn't making any progress. Every single time I would take a buyer to the house, they would never get it. I know some of them saw the message on the wall and was probably like, oh, hecky no. But like, none of them. And even I remember one client actually did put an offer on the house. The deal didn't go through. To this day, I looked at the tax record. That house never sold.